Work ourselves, fingers to the bone, suck the marrow, drain our soul, pay your dues and your debts, pay your respects. Everybody tells me, pay for what you get, you pay for what you get. Everybody asks me how she's doing. Is she really lost her mind? I said I couldn't tell you I lost mine. Words, 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 how you heard the bird in hand is much better than any number free to wander. Fly away, stay. You pay for what you get. You pay for what you get. Everybody asks me how she's doing. Is she really all she says? Everybody asks me how she's doing since she went away. I said I couldn't tell you I'm okay. I'm okay. Okay. Yeah. Surprise, surprise, you pay for what you get. You pay for what you get. Everybody asks me how she's doing. Has she really lost her? Everybody asks me how she's doing since she went away. I said I couldn't tell you I'm okay. I'm okay. Okay. Pay for what you get. Pay for what you get. Pay for what you get. Pay for what you get.
It's your boy Concert Viz 34 back at home.
What up? What up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34.
Yep, so your boy Concert Viz 34 coming to you here.
What up? What up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Aria. Okay, so this is Aria, and just tell us a little bit about yourself and about your love for the Dave Matthews Band.
I've been a fan of the band since April 28, 1998, and if you recognize the date, that's when Before These Crowded Streets was released.
Alpine is definitely a better venue than Summerfest, but we'll take it. I think I've been going to shows for about 20-something years.
I always tell people, like, compare DMB to now to when I first started. And I got started, in my opinion, I feel like I got started late. Like, I was at the very end of the band's prime. I feel like that 03 to 06 was like the end of the prime. 07, 08 was like, you know, we're at the very end. And then when Roy passed.
Dave really, this is the thing. Dave has put, Rashawn has been assigned the quarterback of this team. He is the coach, the play caller. He designs the jams. Dave just shows up and plays whatever he's going to play. Shout out to everyone in Utah right now. Provo. What's popping out there in Provo? Shout out to the BYU Cougars. Shout out to them Cougars in the suburbs of Salt Lake City. West Jordan, what up? How y'all doing out there? Sandy, Utah, what up? North Salt Lake, make some noise. If you're watching this from a Mormon compound, put a 1 in the chat right now. Hey. If you part of the Latter-day Saints, say what up in the chat. Ogden, Utah, what up? How y'all doing? St. George, right by the New Mexico border. What up? How y'all doing? What up? What up? It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Thank you for joining the stream tonight. Thank you guys for popping in. And let me just set up a couple of things here. And let's see if I have my... Thank you guys for joining. We're going to get into a lot of different things tonight about this show, about the set list. We're going to hear from a couple people that were at this show tonight as well. So just bear with me and we'll get things underway here. And this is definitely, this is an interesting show. Obviously, the big story here is going to be that this set list that I'm going to pull up right now. 15 songs. I didn't have time to do the full research here, but the first thing that came to mind was the Leroy Moore birthday show in Berkeley, California, and that was in 2008. This was 15, and I'm talking about a full band set, not in the festival, not impacted by weather. We had a couple shows last year impacted by what severe weather, shows in the past impacted by severe weather. But when's the last time the full band played a 15-song main set? And it was, 15-song main set, band, regular tour stop, and that's all you got from the main set. And this is really, I have to do some more research. I'm sure the Almanac will be on it. I tagged them. Shout out to the DMB Almanac. I think about this Leroy Moore birthday show. It was the first time, it was like, obviously it was his birthday, but he had passed away. So there's, obviously this poster is the little Roy Sachs was a big popular poster back then. That's what I think of. There's probably something in between that, but that's what I look at. And this show tonight, we're going to talk later in the show about the poster. We're going to talk later in the show about we're going to talk about some of the things going on as far as Jeff Coffin and the Setlist complaining and some of the things people are doing, and I'm going to give my opinions on that as well. But this Salt Lake City show, I do want to get some feedback from people who were there. Michael is en route. He's in the chat there. He's en route back to the crib or the hotel, really. It's the end of the road for him. But let's give it up for Michael because he has done some great things here as far as give us some of his live feeds for the couch tour. And then he's also been on here for the post-show stream to give his opinions about the show after they happen. He's been to every single show. For this fall tour so far. But this will be the end of the road for right now. He'll be back a little later. Right. And Rocky, King of Music. Yeah, I love Michael's energy. Just a great dude. Always just trying to share with us back at home that aren't there what he's experiencing. And we appreciate that. Everyone does. So we're going to first tap in with our homie that's in Salt Lake City, lives there. And that's Jay. Let's see. Let's get him up here. J-Bo. J-Bo's going to come on. I want to give him a call on the cell phone just so we get a good quality connection. And then we'll get Michael on from the hotel after that. Those will be our two guests. If you are in the chat, someone is at the show that wants to come on, definitely hit me up right in the chat. Say, hey, so-and-so was at the show. They want to be on. Or, hey, I was at the show. I want to be on. We'll get you a link to come on or reach out by phone. All right, so what we're going to get J-Bo on. Let's not waste any more time and get his opinions on this show. He was at last night's show, and now he's at his hometown. His hometown show. He's from Connecticut. Go Huskies, go Whalers. But he's in the Salt Lake City. He's been based out of here for a while. So this is his just like Dave adopted Seville in Seattle, he's adopted SLC. So let's talk to J-Bo.
Hey, Marcus.
Hey, J-Bo. So you are live on the air again, and we want to talk about this Salt Lake City show. What did you think?
Yeah, man. It was incredible, and I will let you know. We just pulled in back home, a few miles away, and so if it disconnects from the Bluetooth, worst case, just give me a call back.
Okay.
I hope it stays on. Let's see. Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
All right, perfect. Yeah, incredible show. Yeah, a little bit shorter drive than last night, Marcus. It's nice being home. But yeah, I threw you on speakerphone here. My girlfriend Carrie Ann had joined, and it was a really good time. We ended up linking up with some friends that I met last night up in Boise, and just an all around good time. I think I think some of the highlights were definitely that Boa, the Nancy's, the Seek Up sounded great. And obviously, you know, Anson just two-step at the end was incredible. I'd love to hear your take on what people have been talking about with the 17 songs. I know there's some long ones in there, but kind of what the take is there.
So on the message boards, people are upset about that. They're complaining, and just to give you, these are people, as you know, and it's marching. These are people that weren't at the show. These are people at home saying, "Hey, we complained to Jeff. We complained just online the last couple of days to some of the, you know, obviously some of the band members have seen it, and now you're getting a show that's 15 songs in the main set, 17 there for the full show, and it's kind of like another piece of ammunition for those who are mad about this tour."
Right. No, I could definitely see that. And I had a feeling there'd be some talk about it tonight. But you know, I think just the flow was interesting, and you know, just being a bit tired from the trip yesterday. Carrie Ann put it perfectly. It was a slow burn, and we were really hoping it would speed up. But obviously, you know, some of those absolute bangers at the end, I think, made up for it.
Gotcha. The Seek Up here, was that like a longer version of it? That's what some people want to know.
Yeah, that's what I felt. And I remember thinking, oh, if I talk to Marcus, I need to ask him about this, but I forget what specific part of the latter part of the song. I'll have to wait for the rip of it.
Okay. Yeah, it seems like someone is saying that someone is saying that Crush and Seek Up to get together, and again, this is unofficial. There's someone in the chat. They're saying that Crush and Seek Up together was 38 minutes.
Wow.
So if you take the 5th song Crush and the 8th song Seek Up, I will have to see what the timings are once, like you said, once we get the tapes out from whoever was there tonight.
And I did notice Looker's back right. I saw somebody taping, which was cool to see. I did have I don't know the guitars like yourself and a lot of people on Ants. And I know Stefan has multiple guitars, but is that like bluish purple-ish one? Is that common?
For Stefan or for Dave?
For Stefan. Maybe he plays it all the time and I've just never noticed.
Yeah, I know he has some new guitars that he's been using. I think he has a Supro bass guitar from what I heard. I'm not as hip to the bass guitars as I am to Dave's acoustics and Tim's electrics. But I did hear, like, he's definitely been trying out some different basses this year.
And this is probably wishful thinking, Marcus, but it was like very in line with the classic late 90s jazz color scheme. So I was like wondering if you did that on purpose, but probably just making that up in my head.
Gotcha. And so this show, it starts off, looks like it starts off with That Girl Is You, Proudest Monkey's Satellite. What was the crowd reception to those songs there? Do you remember like what it was like at the beginning?
Yeah, just super slow. Like, you know, some of those not a favorite of mine nor a lot of people listening. Some of those That Girl Is You can really get going, especially when they have the guests, Preservation Jazz Hall joined. But yeah, that first three was just like, oh wow, this is a pretty quiet start. So the good news was like I was kind of thinking it was only up from there. And then remind me what was, I think something big was in the 5 slot. Remind me what that was.
No, so Crush was in the 5 spot.
Yep.
A lot of people online were saying that the riff Best of What's Around combo was great.
Yes. And that was another question for you and the listeners. Maybe I didn't pay attention to that outro the last 2 years, but man, that outro sounded great. And that's maybe the first time I've actually like really paid attention to it. Has that been going around in 21 and 22?
You said for Sweet?
No, for the Sweet one, I know. For Best of What's Around.
Oh, so was it like da 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 da? Like
I think so.
Yeah, so that's what Matt Norlander coined it best. It's a walk down outro. That actually, right now this show was on the 9th, November 8th, 2021, Mohegan Night 1. That was the first time that was played like that. And so did Jeff play his little sax as well?
I think so.
Like at the end, because that's what Jeff did, and I'm pulling it up for the viewers because I got video of that. I was actually handed the set list, or someone sent a picture of the set list to me before that show, so I knew Bo was coming first, and I had my camera ready, but I didn't even know like that. That was, to me, I will say, that is one of the coolest kind of. It seemed like a mistake at the time. I think they just accidentally lost their bearing, but they looped it, but it sounded so cool, whether it was a mistake or on purpose. It's probably one of the best like kind of additions that we've seen to a classic song in a while. Like Gray Street third verse came back last year, and that Boa outro was just huge. Because like it just adds a whole new joy and excitement to that song. It's already a great song, but it just adds that extra fun and joy.
It sounded great tonight, and that is as good as that kind of ate through. I just pulled up the set. As good as that seek up. I know it's the cover conversation, but Fool in the Rain really got the pit going. And I will note, somebody on the Facebook group out here was kind enough to give us 2 extras that we ended up putting towards good use, and then super last minute ended up in the back of the pit, which was incredible. So Fool in the Rain got the crowd going, but it was really at Best of What's Around through the rest of the set that was just incredible. And we were having a blast from YAM, and then Don't Drink Nancy's Ants to end the set. It was pretty incredible.
And speaking of, I know that's awesome, you got upgraded there, got to the back of the pit. What would you say, what percentage of the crowd was filled of between 0 and 100%?
Yeah, probably about 75-80% carrying. Yeah, so they had the whole thing open versus last night. If I remember, I think some of it was curtained off, and
yes.
I'd say about 75-80%. For I should know what the capacity is for a concert there. It's got to be like, I don't know, 16 or 17,000. So yeah, for pretty good show up tonight for a Wednesday here in the Wasatch. But I'd say it was a great crowd. The pit was also there's a bit more people in the pit tonight versus last night.
Okay, that's good to hear, because I mean the reports that Michael had of last night, although I think it's actually in some ways it's nice if you're in the pit, you got more space, but to see that there's like the fans closest to the band, there's space and it's not sold out or not really filled up well. That's kind of disappointing. And it's kind of been something with this tour that's been a concern with Vancouver, Boise, obviously Portland and Seattle had better crowds lower in the front. So it's good to hear.
What's kind of the vibe so far? Just in the discussions, 5 shows in. I can't say I was at the first 3, but I've now been at the last 2. Of course, having fun, which is just because I was there. But I'd say tonight was probably just a bit more electric than last night.
So yeah, it seems like we have there's a poster here, Toy Bensley. He's doing a twist on Boyd's name, switching the
I've seen that on the
So he's saying he said the pit looked beyond jam. Show started 7:50 local time. The BOA was really tight. Outro was really tight for BOA. Dave cut one song on the raised B guitar. I'll see if we can find the set list here. It's going to be harder because, we're going to talk later about this. Jeff Coffin is not really in the mood to post set lists anymore.
My girlfriend reminded me of that. I saw it maybe and just didn't think about it. I was just scrolling quick, but yeah, she brought that back up on the drive home, and definitely, yeah, I see it. Going back to Bo is something I want to know, Marcus, and I need to listen back to it. That part that's like just the infamous part, the oh hey love, like that part.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they flubbed it at first and then they like ran it back, so that was pretty neat.
Okay,
because I was like a little bummed that it was a flub at first.
Okay, that's cool, because I know that song has not been played since June 17th of this year. So we got it a little bit. I think, let's see, we'll look at the history of BOA for this year. We got it last year. Like I said, I got it I definitely got it at Mohegan Sun. Look at the plays of BOA. Oh, it's only played. Wow. So I got one of those. It was played in Mansfield. Played 514, which would have been Dallas. So it's only, wow, BOA, it's, I didn't even think about that. BOA has only been played twice full band before tonight. So this is the third full band, once with Mexico. Whereas last year it was played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times total. 7 times total, including that 11-8, that first walk down as an opener for Mohegan Night 1. So I think this is a song people would like to see more of. Hopefully it stays around for this tour and we get, up to last year's count, like of 7 or more, maybe we get up to 7 if they play it a couple more times. But that song is going to really turn any set around. And I think if you don't have that BOA tonight, even the reaction from people at home is going to be a lot more critical.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier in the call, that was the highlight for me. I really enjoyed BOA tonight, even with the flub, if I heard that correctly. So yeah, I wouldn't be doing proper service if I didn't do my Connecticut plug. You'd love this. Couple Whalers hats floating around, including myself. So nice. That was nice. Pretty cool to see. And then heard already some of my buddies watch your recording and gave you a few extra followers. So just shout out to my
thank you.
Shout Appreciate out to my original East Catholic Dave Matthews, the guy who showed me, Dan, and our other buddies TJ, Kevin, and Brian. All good memories with those guys, and it's just fun to be getting texts from them, during the show. You know how it is.
Oh, you went to East Catholic?
Yeah. Yep.
So were you 08 then? Class of 08?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
sounds like we're the same age.
yeah. I went to South Windsor High, class of 08.
Oh, no
So
way. Okay.
we definitely know people then, because like I knew people who went to East Catholic from my town, from Manchester. I worked with people back at the Highland Park Market back in
Yeah.
they had one in Evergreen Walk that actually shut down like years later. But I work with people, so yeah, we'll have to talk offline. But yes, I know all about the Eagles. And then one of the nuns used to come into the store. But I digress. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, no, I'll look forward to talking with you more about it. I gotta give a huge plug for the poster. Initially, I had moved out here for the skiing, and it's a play on Snowbird, which is actually my aunt's logo, with the tram and the ski mountain. So this is only the second poster we've ever gotten, and that will definitely be going up soon. It's just such a mix of two of my passions, which is, sorry if this is boring to a lot of the listeners, but I just thought it was super cool.
Oh no, when I tell you this poster got a lot of love. Like it got a lot of love today. And what I like about it is it has that we haven't had a poster like this in years, as far as the style of it, just the way it's styled. They had more posters like this 10, 15, well, I would say 10 years ago. 10 plus years ago, they had these more simple, cool. I like the way the sun rays go out. Like it's a lot of the posters now are, I call them weirdo posters. And I love art, I love abstract, I love expression. But some of the posters just are way too weird in not a good way. It's not a psychedelic Grateful Dead way. It's not a Fish cool character way. It's just weird. But this poster is amazing just because it's so simple. It has that beautiful, mountain range look that you think of with Utah and Colorado and the Rockies and everything out there west, that like you did and like others go skiing. And it has that fire dancer on the little ski tram, just that give you that Dave signature logo, the fire dancer logo.
Yeah, and I don't know if the artist knew this, but they just replaced those trams at Snowbird, so it could have been a nod to that. I don't know.
Okay.
I might have to look into it, but yeah, it's a really cool poster. And it's funny. I'll be interested to watch this recording. Like, I'd be lying if I told you I wasn't just zonked. It's been an incredible 2 days of Dave. A little sad that's it for me outside of the couch tour, but then I'll just be waiting for dates for next summer, which I hope is a time when we could catch a show together. And last random final note, Marcus, Madman's Eyes E1. Well, that's kind of interesting.
Yes, first time it's ever been in the encore. I think what kind of dampers that is for some people, and again, this is just some of the chatter. When I posted it on Twitter, obviously there was a comment under there of, hey, 17 song set though. Like that's the cloud over this show from some people. Again, so the reaction on Ants, you'll see it if you log in later. Ants was more positive about Boa being there, the riff being back, but the fact that it was 17 songs was a cloud over some of the good things about this show, which is unfortunate because I think it's great that Boa, like I said, I've got that walk down outro, the riff being back again on this tour, so it's staying around, staying this year. It's been the year of the riff comeback. And so I think there's a lot of great things that you can pull from this show. The poster's great. It looks like, I don't know if you have extras. John Woodbury in the chat says, hey, let me know if you have any extra posters.
Oh, man. We only grabbed one.
No worries.
I should have grabbed some others, but if I hear of anybody that was at the show that has extras, I'll connect through you or something like that.
Oh yeah, and no worries yet. Now the poster itself, were you able to notice? Was there a lot of people getting the poster? Did it seem like it was hard poster to get?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yeah, it being only my second one, like it didn't feel like the rush of, some of the bigger shows and people, finding out that they sell out quick, such as the Gorge. I wasn't getting that vibe. And again, as it's been alluded to, kind of this run is not the biggest DMB hotspots. So I think that maybe played into it. I didn't feel that poster rush as I've heard in the past.
Gotcha. And what I'll say is this reminds me a little bit of, I'm gonna go back to, I believe it's 2019. Your last show here, there was a B poster, and that one picked up a little bit of traction. Now that was just north of the city, right? The amphitheater, USANA or USA.
Yeah, USANA. That's in West Valley City, so that's just like 20 minutes, kind of southwest of downtown.
Oh, southwest.
The B is interesting because that's like the whole, like our state highway signs are a beehive. It's like it's a reference to the Mormon culture. I don't like. I shouldn't be. I'm no expert on that, but how they all kind of like they're all worker bees, which is you see a lot of bee references. Our minor league baseball team is the bees. So yeah, you see a lot of bee references out here. Fun fact, they used to be called the Buzz, but I don't know if they have to get rid of that for alcohol reasons or not.
Gotcha. And I know your alcohol has less alcohol by volume, or I know like out there, because I know I was actually going to consider moving out there for my job. I used to work at StubHub here in Connecticut, and they moved everything out to the eBay campus.
That's right.
And I decided just to get another job, which actually, anyway, that worked out much better, especially with the pandemic. If I would have stayed a couple more years, everyone got laid off. Anyway, I digress. I'm trying to find that year. Was that 16? I'm trying to find the year.
They played USANA 2013 and 2019. I had moved out here right after
19.
that 13 show. And then it was a 6-year gap, but I was at the August 2019 show before the Gorge. I didn't do the Gorge that year, but this is one of the places
I see it.
For that midweek show pre-Gorge.
So here we go. We're gonna pull this up for people. Some of you poster fans watching this know this poster, but this was a very cool poster. And just like tonight, like you said, it has a reference to local culture. That to me is more important that's why I think a lot of these artists are picking for this fall tour. Like obviously we've had one Methane, I believe. I think there's been one Methane with the Oregon poster for Portland. But like the fact everyone else has kind of been like just an individual type, hey, we don't work with them every single year, poster artists. And I think that's where you get these local touches, you get more attention to detail, and that's what to me makes the best posters.
I totally agree. When they did like the Easter egg of the Whalers logo at that Mohegan show last year, I thought that was like just so cool. So yeah, your point about the posters is absolutely correct. Before letting you go, and we just had some friends come by who were actually staying with us after the show, which is cool. Nice. And yeah, like I said, guys might be able to hear my fatigue, but it's been a good couple days. I definitely see where some of the not so positive things are coming from, but look, this band is still rocking in 2022. We talked about, just how incredible that is with some of the shows that we saw back in the day, but they're still sounding good. And I'm going to try to continue to go to any future shows that I can within reasonable distance.
Awesome. Well, we thank you again for coming on. Thank you for giving us this instant reaction, and thank you for having the dedication to come on here with after you're driving yesterday, and even like you said, staying on as long as you can before your friends arrive. So have a good rest of your night, and we'll definitely see you on the stream next year when there's some Western tour dates announced.
Awesome, Marcus. Thanks again for everything. I'll look forward to talking with you soon, and hope everybody out there has a great night.
All right. Take care. Peace.
Bye.
All right. So that's J-Bo he's in Utah. I want to thank him for coming on. And like I said, we're going to get to after Michael. We're going to get Michael on in a minute. But after him, I'll give my opinions on the sets, and we'll talk about that, the Jeff Coffin thing. So just stay tuned. And all right, so let's test this to see. I'm going to bring on Michael. So let's see.
There he is.
All right. Here we go. So this is the end of this leg for you of the tour. Tell us about Salt Lake City.
Oh, great, Marcus. It was awesome, man. It was a great show again, as always. The band was out there getting it done. I'm sure you already talked, but short set list, long songs, man, long songs. Talked about Seek Up at the end of Seek Up. It was Buddy just kept rolling, man. It was nice. It's nice just letting them open everything up, like we talked the other night. Everything's just kind of, they're doing a thing, a little bit of space in between everything. It was nice. It was really, really, really good stuff. Really good stuff.
So that Seek Up, do you think it was? I know you're on your couch touring, helping the couch tour by sharing your phone and your perspective. Did it seem like it was over 20 minutes?
It was getting close. I can judge when they go like, it was like at least 4 solos. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 solos. Like when they get into it, when they're into like that like going through like the 4th time, it's almost like, I mean, I'm not saying for sure, but yeah, it was, I noticed, when you notice, the beginning leading in was like, I want to say it was like 7-8 minutes, just leading into it before we even started. And then you put an extra outro on that. It just adds up.
And the big thing tonight is that it's 17 songs, no weather interruptions, not a festival like obviously Tempe Innings Fest before the pandemic. Did you have any intel about like people saying that there was a curfew or there was some reason that it may have been cut, around 10:20 local time?
Not at all. Not at all. The one security guard that was walking back and forth, she gave me a heads up on 8 minutes to go, and she was a little late on that, so I didn't really count on her for any like accurate stage times. Say that, but I don't know, man. Maybe it's just the city and everything else. But yeah, I was kind of watching a little bit. You know what? I was clock watching, but I wasn't song number watching. You know what I mean? Like I felt like near the end because I started clock watching, but I wasn't watching the hub to see, like how many they were playing, because it felt like a complete show to me. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. It felt like a complete show. Like you didn't, until I even noticed, I didn't even realize it was a 15 show. It felt like a complete show to me. I had no idea the sound until I got out.
And that's a good perspective, because I try to do the same thing. I just try to take in that show, and like you said, there's a feeling that you got a full show, and there's a feeling like I've been like going to see Dave and Tim at Sound on Sound, where you're like, they didn't play a full show, and the weather comes in, and you just know that you're like, okay, I could have gotten more. So that's an important thing too. People kind of want to know too, and Heinz posted this in the chat. Were there any other songs outside of Seek Up that felt longer or felt like it took up a considerable amount, like Crush or something else, Proudest Monkey, anything else?
Crush is just, oh my God, the outro on Crush is like, it's like bordering like a Rapunzel thing, man. The Crush outro was so long. Yeah, they're ripping into that thing, man. They're just stretching that way out. Yes, Crush is another one, and I meant to. Yeah, I can't. It's tough to keep track when we're going, but yes, they definitely. When we track that, you're going to see that that's probably going to be a pretty long one. They're probably
Okay.
probably a 10-minute Crush, I'd say, which would be, I don't know. It seems pretty long in my book. Now that's normally like an 8-minute song, right? I'm just throwing numbers out, but I'm just going by feel.
Okay. Yeah. So if it's extended to 10 minutes, that's definitely something that would be longer than usual there. And did you get a grasp on the poster? Because that's one thing we wanted to know. Did the poster sell out? Was there lines? Were there any left over when it was over? Or?
Yeah, there were posters left over when it was over. The venue, I got there at like 6:30ish. And it was like not like a ghost town, but it was a ghost town, man. I mean, nobody was in yet. I was surprised because the parking lots were full. So I expected to see more people in here. But you know what? It goes to say the staff in this place they were on point. They were making sure no lines were building. Like in the merch, they were like, instead of the line stacking, they were making sure the line moved up, and they filled all the cashiers working down. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
that's
there's only
awesome.
3 people in line instead of, like, how it doesn't funnel down, and the far end, there's only 2 people and there's 12 people at the first line. Everybody moved down and stuff like that. So, they were able to move the merch through like that, and everything was good. But the poster didn't sell. I was surprised because when I was driving over, somebody said it dropped, and I looked, and then I was thinking about ordering online, and it was already gone, and I was shocked, and I was like, maybe it was some artist Marcus is going to tell me this is some special poster that I don't know about, that why it blew up online or something.
I think really what it was is, and this is just the West Coast thing, if it's not a 2-night stand, and or like obviously like Seattle is the exception, because Seattle, you had a lot of diehard fans in Seattle that would buy up that poster. But if it's not like a big, like the markets they're going to, you could have the best poster of all time. A lot of the culture is just not into that poster buying. Like those local fans, they're there for the music, and they may even, some of these fans that may get more into the band 5 years from now, they're gonna be like, dang, I should have got that poster. So online, you have the people, the poster heads across the country. I mean, like John wants one right here. Shout out to John out of Colorado.
Yeah, it'll drop again.
Yeah, so he's gonna, when that drops on the warehouse or the AP versions, which are gonna be dropping as well, he's gonna buy it. So it's just one of those things where it's kind of a shame, because the whole summer I've had, and John saying he doesn't even buy prints really from shows. The only one I remember, John had told me, the Deer Creek one, because his father worked on the railroads, and that was just sentimental to him for his late father. Like it was special. So like he doesn't do that outside of that one. That's the only one I remember John saying he bought, but he wants this one. So I think it's a shame that obviously they're giving us the posters we should have had this summer. There were great ones this summer, but there were a lot of misses. Like these posters, if this was Camden, obviously there's no mountain in Camden, but the same equivalent. Or if this was, I said this online today, I would have loved, and I hope they would do this in the future, take this artist and have them do the Alpine Hill in the summertime. So not the snow, but do the Alpine Hill in the shed in a poster. That'd be dope to me. So like maybe you show so if we bring up the poster here, maybe you show the perspective from the top of the Alpine Hill, and then on the bottom is the amphitheater and there's a crowd. I would love, like that would obviously sell. It's Alpine, right? So for 2024, when they go back to Alpine, have a poster like that, because this idea would have sold out for most of the summer popular spots, and even some of the summer spots like a one night in Blossom, or a one night, obviously Riverbend wasn't this year, but a Riverbend show this poster's selling out at a peak summertime show at a big venue.
Absolutely. You know, it's good that they're going to be able to get some more online. You know, it'll drop again, and the ones that wanted to get it should be able to grab it.
Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. Someone wanted to verify, did Don't Drink the Water, it sounds like people are watching the couch store, Don't Drink the Water, did it have that kind of elongated intro that they've been doing?
Yeah, totally. It had the long intro. Yeah, nobody knew what it was for a while, so definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, long intro on that. Yeah, if those, yeah, it was a full show. It was a full show. I mean, again, I'm not a big song count guy and stuff like that. You know, I know my feel. I know, been doing it long enough. You know how long you've been standing there. You just by the up and down in the show. You know when you're coming around the corner and you know you're starting to make the turn. When we got the YM, even though it's 12, I knew we were getting ready to wrap stuff up. You know, I knew we weren't getting looking at it. There's not going to be 8 more songs after YM just by the feel of the show. You know, just by just the energy and the way the whole show flow went. You know, you can't see that written on paper, but you can see it there and you can feel it there. But I mean, if the times were up there, you'd be like, oh, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And it seems like it's interesting because I'll be talking about this after you're off, but everyone that I've talked now, listen, on Ant, someone said like I can understand people like some fans walking away from Seattle and being like there probably should have been 1 or 2 more deep cuts. Like that was probably the most popular show so far on the tour for the West Coast swing, West and Mountain time zone swings. But other than Seattle, everyone has been positive that I've messaged or talked to or texted about the shows. And that's where there's that difference between when you're there and what the local fans want, the diehards and casuals, versus like being in here, like I am in Connecticut, being in Jersey, being in somewhere in the Midwest where you got a lot of diehard fans. It just seems like that's really the disconnect. Is there's a lot of people far away from these venues that are upset, and the people in the venues, like you said, are happy.
Marcus, I think you hit the nail right on the head there, man. We have to understand that, or I have to understand this. When I come to a venue from New Jersey as a traveling Dave Matthews fan, following the band, I have to accept what Dave's gonna play, man. That's the way. First of all, he's gonna play whatever he wants to play.
Right.
Doesn't matter to me, man. We all know that, and that's cool. We're all I'm totally fine with that. But I'm not expecting anything. I'm not expecting him to drop bombs on me. This is a fall tour. I'm expecting a wonderful time, and the radio hits and everything we got tonight, and it was beautiful, and it's it. The show flow and everybody dancing and singing, and you know what? They didn't know Ants again, man. They didn't know Ants. That new lead into Ants. That if that fools people, that's it right there, man. Yeah. You got all these people, and I'm looking, going, oh, you have no idea. You're going to jump up in 30 seconds and lose your minds. And they all did. So that sort of thing, man, it's good. I love it. I think it's good, and I enjoy the energy. And that's why I do it for that sort of thing. If you know, it's good. I mean, you know, I'll be honest. When I'll say one thing about it. When Jeff came on stage, he was a little, I don't know, he seemed a little tight. You know, Dave kind of seemed like he wanted to loosen him up a little bit. It seemed like there was a little tension there. You know, I don't ever want to feel like that, man. I don't want that shit to happen. I don't ever want it to be like that. I want it to just be what it is all day long, man. Just come out, play the songs you want to play. They are playing so hard on those instruments all night long. You know, I tried to hit a couple of things. You know, Jeff's got a sax strapped to him. He's got the other one in front of him, and he's holding the flute and playing, and he's singing in the microphone on the sax, and Rashawn's singing along, and they're all doing backups and everything else. And man, it's just an absolute blessing to be there, to witness it and to be there and to feel it and to see it with everybody. Is just, that's why I travel, and that's all I need, man.
And I will add to this because I know you've been doing some driving, right? In every gorge trip, I've cleared 1,200 to 1,500 miles, and I know you're there, right? Because you've been from Vancouver, you've already easily cleared that. But I think what's important, just like you, East Coast guy, Connecticut, and I went out to the gorge both times and went up to Bellingham, Washington. I went to Clatskanie, Oregon. I went to Warrenton, Oregon. I went to East Wenatchee. I went to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. There's something about traveling in the Mountain West and the West Coast that just calms your soul. The baseball game I went to for Yankees, diehard Yankees fan. It wasn't even about the game. It just was a great group of fans, Mariners fans. So some people have, listen, I'm not saying some of you guys have traveled from the East Coast. I know some of you guys are out like in Denver and you guys are out in Phoenix, but when you come from the East Coast, hustle and bustle, cut you off, yell at you, just fast pace, and you take a week or 2 weeks and you go out to the Pacific Northwest, the West Coast, and you add concerts into that, it is a different vibe to the point where the music is secondary. I don't know if that's how you feel. To me, when I go out there, the music is secondary. Where the flip side of that is, if I drive to Mansfield, or if I'm fighting through traffic to get to a show in New York City, and they don't deliver, I'm going to be upset, because it's like the hassle and the pricing and all this stuff. If it really was a set that just missed in Madison Square Garden, I'm going to be a little, I'm still grateful for the band. I'm going to be upset. But if like going out to the gorge and they had some weird stuff, like 21, I went alternate format. 2019, they didn't really hit a lot of the deep cuts that they typically cover at the gorge that year. But it didn't matter as much, to the point where it just was, I missed the experience of that Pacific Northwest in the Mountain West more than I miss any sort of set list that I got, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It was this whole trip for me was the ability to go see Dave shows and take a vacation at the same time. It was a combined effort of the two, and that's always what it was. It was being able to do that. So the off days and stuff like that, it was great. It was really, I was able to relax, and I was planning for this. And this is a long time coming for me to be able to do something like this, put this together. That's so great. Anything I get, is just it's awesome. It's phenomenal. I'm just, I don't know, man. It could be like a life point thing, I mean, like I'm I don't know, not like that, just like, I don't care what he plays. It's just, it's what it is. It's what it is. But that's what makes it awesome, because me and you get to sit here and talk about it.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? And have a conversation about it and talk about this band and talk about, it's cool that we can talk about, I think us talking about the fact that we only played 15 songs because C Cup was 25 minutes is a great conversation to have. That's an awesome conversation. And the band's all about that. But for us to come on and bitch about them not playing something is not something anybody wants.
Right.
Right?
Yep. And you see other I don't consider DMB a jam band, but you'll see a Fish show or a Humphreys and McGee show, or like any jam band. Some of the flip side of it is they will have a 5-song second set or a 6-song second set. But the thing is, it's more about weight. They just jammed out on 5 songs, or maybe 3, like 2 of those songs were like 20 minutes of just unique improv. Even for a jam band, they've never taken that song to this level. So that's what I think is important, is to look at that perspective. Now, if you listen to this show from a taper's perspective and maybe you don't like it, that's fine. But to complain about the song amounts. It's weird. I understand people are trying to. I see Hines in the chat. He's trying to just wrap his head around DMB playing sevens in the song. But but before you even listen to it, don't knock it until you watch it. And again, some people are gonna love this show. Some people are gonna never listen. They listen to the tapers version once and they're gonna throw it away. But like you said, let's look at what happened. We're talking to Michael right now. He's saying Seek Up is this long. Don't Drink had an extended, they extended that in. You had a Nancy's and the Ants Marching. You have a Boa with the Walk Down Jam outro that literally is a year and a day old today. And you have, like you said, you have a Crush that you said just really seemed like it had that extra punch. So that's what we got to do is you can have your opinion, but listen to the music as well. Listen to the taper audio. Even if you listen to tape audio, you weren't there. Maybe there was a vibe that Michael caught or that J Bull caught that maybe you didn't catch. So there's a lot that some people, I think more people need to look at things in full versus just saying, oh, I hate this or I don't like that. Like, let's think critically. Let's listen. Let's hear reactions from the crowd. And then from there, still have your opinion. So.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. I completely agree, buddy. Completely agree. God, I love this. Good stuff, buddy.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you. Like I said, we're appreciative of what you do. Any other final thoughts? I want to make sure you get some sleep here. You've been
no, man. It was great. It was great. It's gonna be good to get home. It was cool. Like it was fun. It was a blast. I mean, I guess as a final thought, as a diehard fan, being out here seeing this many shows, does it get old? I mean, a little bit, Marcus. I'm going to be honest with you. After this many shows, I mean, it's tough to find the energy. That's why it's so the critical. Whatever the fact they do this every night, they do this. I can't even. I love them to death,
right?
And I'm like, dude, I gotta go home and take I gotta break. I gotta take a break if I see another show, And I'm not trying to be jaded, everybody. You all know me, and Marcus knows. We're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be good to get home. It's going to be good to hang out and everything, and it's going to be refreshed and ready to go for these last couple. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it, man. Thank you so much.
Definitely, and I felt the same. Listen, I didn't hit as many shows as you, but when I went to Deer Creek, Chicago, in Green Bay, and then I went to Alpine, I felt the same way. I'm like, I'm half the age of Carter, and I'm on the road for like 10 days, and I consider myself in shape. I do a lot of driving I do a lot of road trips just in general, but like I was exhausted after 10 days. So I only can imagine Carter in his mid 60s, how he's or early 60s, whatever you want to put, whatever, like for him to still be on tour and to do this, private jet or not, because again, you're playing your heart out, whatever it is, like it's tough. And that's great perspective. It is tiring. And that's why I always say, just a last thing here is, what was I going to say? I've lost my train of thought.
Sorry.
Being old
and being tired, seeing shows and tired. You did the Alpine.
Oh, what I was going to say is this. I suggest that if you have the finances and if you have the vacation time to see this band, break the trips up across the year. So go to 2 or 3 shows in the down south, go to 2 or 3 shows in the Midwest, and then do 2 or 3 shows in the East, and then, or whatever, do West Coast, Central, whatever you can do. But I strongly suggest you don't go to, for like, I know this was a trip for you, and but like I've chased a couple, like you're gonna find that you're gonna be, especially if you're critical on the set list. For people who are just set list junkies, you're gonna get 3 different set lists if you go to 3 different regions of the country. But if you go to 5 different shows in a row, you're gonna get repeats. They test this stuff out. Dave likes to get in a rhythm. with the stuff. He's not. That's why they're not a jam band. He doesn't really do, even when they had improv in the 90s, where you saw Roy at a show do something, or Dave at a show, like they still were they got in a rhythm like a football team. They're doing their reps every day. The first team reps, second team reps. They're not trying to be like a Fish or like a Grateful Dead, and that's okay. I think that's what makes Dave kind of unique, where he gets a larger crowd, is that energy and the jamming that he does, but it's focused on those reps. So like I said, if you're trying to plan for 2023, try to do different chunks of the tour. Don't do 7 shows down south in a row, because you're going to be disappointed, because that next show they do in the Midwest or the East Coast, they're going to bring a new song in. You're like, oh, I missed it. So, all right. Thank you so much, Michael. We'll let you go, and safe travels back home to New Jersey.
Thank you. Peace and love, and be kind, man.
All right. All right. So let's get into the main event. All right. the main smoke that we have. The main topic of discussion here, obviously, is just there is a lot of chatter online, okay? And it's about the set list. It's about Dave. It's about what's going on. First, let me adjust this, Hines, and this is great conversation. The first thing, let me take off this. All right, so we'll do this, Jeff Coffin. So here's my first thing about Dave plays what he wants. He does, but if you look at Dave in the set list he plays, he tries to play to the crowd, just like a comedian, right? Comedians know their market. They know if they're in a super liberal town, or if they're playing a college show, right? Let's not even say liberal conservative, right? College kids, like I went to a lot of college comedy shows at my school in Connecticut. Nowadays, if you play at a college for comedy, you can't say the crazy stuff, because you have all these like young students. Oh my gosh, you can't say that now. You can't do that, right? And when comedians take edgy stuff to a certain level, they're trying to do that to prove a point. If they're a good comedian, they're not just trying to say stuff to be offensive. They're trying to prove a point. But in colleges, like Jerry Seinfeld talked about it, he's like, I don't even do colleges because these kids get offended. But good comedians can cater their jokes to a college campus, and then the next day they're at a bar in New York City. And then the next day they're at Foxwood Casino in Connecticut, and you have a suburban New England crowd, right? And then you go out west and you have a West Coast crowd. You have a Midwest crowd, right? Dave, essentially, like a comedian, he tries to cater his set list around the crowd, or what's most common for that crowd. So these shows in Utah, these shows in Boise, Idaho, he's not going to play Spoon, okay? He's not going to play Dreaming Tree. As great as it would be, right, to have a Dreaming Tree come back like in the summer. These, like Michael just said, they didn't know the intro to Ants Marching today. Bruh. And that's not a bad thing, because the whole thing about this, about what we love, I want more fans to experience this band. I want people to grab on. I started 10 years ago. Some people started 5 years ago. Some people started this year. I am all about new fans loving this band. And they're not going to understand or appreciate. Like my first show, I got Blackjack. I could not appreciate it like I can appreciate it now. Right? Okay. So what I will say is Dave he's intentional. If you look at Madison, like let's take a look here. I want to point out something here. Because last year, everyone's like, well, 2021 had all these bust ups. Let's look at this, what happened here. So they play Nationwide Arena in Columbus. Columbus is a location that has, to its west, it has your Chicago and your Deer Creek fans. To the north, you have Cuyahoga County, the Cleveland Blossom Fans. To your south, you have Riverbend. Okay. So they're going to bust out all these things. First broken things in a while. Well, she should have not been a tour debut, but that's all. That neither here nor there. You have the song debut of Madman's Eyes. You have a Dive In, Get Liberated, right? For the first, like for as far as a full band liberation of Dive In. And so you go to the next show, right? 11/6. Look what happens here. Grand Rapids, Michigan. They had not played in Grand Rapids since the 90s, I think. Look at this set list. The tour debuts again and again. That's not really something people are chasing, right? You have Madman's Eyes again, but you don't have the Dive In or the Broken Things. You don't have a Drunken Soldier. You don't have a Spoon, a Dreaming Tree, a Shotgun, because it's Grand Rapids, Michigan. We talked to Tony C from that show, and he's talking about how the fans didn't really know the non-hits. Like, so Dave plays to the crowd or what's going to be expected. If it's a popular city that he does every year for the summer, like a SPAC, you're going to get stuff like that Pay for What You Get intro we got. He debuted it at SPAC for a reason. Right? As far as the practice, I know you talked about that. The band doesn't need to practice. They do have to rehearse. Trust me, Hines. They have to rehearse, because what happens is Dave is not playing, like when he's off tour, he's not playing guitar nonstop. He's living with his family. Carter's going golfing. They have to have a rehearsal. And again, I know professional musicians in my family, right? Friends who went to like, I just met with Anthony, who's been on, he was viral earlier this year for meeting up with Jeff Coffin, right, and befriending him. But like, I know people who went to Anthony's Hart School of Music. I know professional musicians. You have to have a 45-minute, an hour, 2 hour, a 3 hour rehearsal the day before you go back on a tour. Like I said, I know musicians. I know people that have been stage managers, right? You have to have that the day before. You have to have rehearsal. That's why, even though there were some great songs played, like Drive In, Drive Out in Vancouver, they should have had a rehearsal before then, right? They should have. They should have had a rehearsal, right? And again, like I said, I'm talking about musicians, like professional musicians I know. They have to just have that time, right? They have to have, it could be just the day before, 2 or 3 hours. You need it. You need it. And you've seen Dave flub some stuff because they don't have those rehearsals. You've seen Dave, I've seen some Dave solo stuff where Dave kind of messes up or flubs it. Dave and Tim, a one-off show. He just kind of, and I don't mind that. I don't mind when Dave messes up, but you see that happen. Okay. So that's the first and foremost thing. Dave plays certain things to a crowd. Now, yes, you will have a Shake Me Like a Monkey closer for SPAC night 2 in last year and SPAC night 1 this year. You'll have That Girl Is You open up a Alpine show. Bruh. So like you'll have these rotations of songs. Dave wants to play Sledgehammer.
No.
So you'll get those at popular venues, right? But still, look at Fool in the Rain debuting. That's a cover, but that's like a special moment. It debuted at Alpine, right? Number 34, Gorge. That encore, the Grand Rapids, Michigan, or Salt Lake City, Utah, would not be able to comprehend the greatness of the Gorge Night 3 encore this year. That's why they didn't play that tonight. They didn't have a 34, So Right, What You Are encore. They would not so he didn't play it. In Grand Rapids, this is a cookie cutter set, but that is what that market is going to really react to the most. That's okay. I go to shows and I don't know everything from the national when I go to Sound on Sound, right? They play a cookie cutter set because it's a festival. Even if I go to my local, like the Comcast Xfinity Theater, right? Or if a band comes back, like I know like certain bands like String Cheese Incident or other bands, jam bands will come to Connecticut for the first time in like ever almost. And they'll play kind of a more toned down set, even as a jam band, because we haven't had a show. Like String Cheese came, I remember seeing them here in Connecticut. They hadn't been like in over a decade to Connecticut as a headliner, right? So we go from Grand Rapids to Mohegan. So look at this. From Grand Rapids to Mohegan, we get the Best of What's Around walk down. We get the Dive In comes back. You see what I'm saying? They're bringing certain things back when they go from Grand Rapids to Mohegan, which has a lot of DMB fans, diehard fans, which live close by, right? I go to this show, my first pitch show, 11-9, right? We get a 41 opener, right? Midweek, but we get Broken Things. Yes, we get a Louisiana Bayou. Not a fan, but it got the crowd going. But then we get One Sweet World. We got a typical situation. I'll back you up. And here's the thing. Look at this. Let's zoom in here. This is something. Look at this. You're telling me Dave plays what he wants? Yeah, Dave plays what he wants. Dave played I'll Back You Up into Lie in Our Graves a year ago. Well, yesterday now, because it's the 10th. This was one of the coolest. This was almost even up there with the MSG Night 2 I went to Encore. I'll back you up into Lie in Our Graves. This is not in Boise, Idaho, okay?
Bruh.
This is not in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Bruh.
This is in Connecticut, a venue that, a state that has literally sold 3 nights in a row, despite how small the population of this state is. We love Dave here. Hartford has had 30,000 plus people. There were riots because that's how poppin' the parties are at Hartford for Dave. We won't even show up for our football team, UConn football, as good as we show up for Dave Matthews. Okay? I'll back you up, Lie in Our Graves. You're telling me Dave doesn't try to play things in certain venues? You're telling me he doesn't have a bias, or he doesn't, not a bias, he doesn't have a tune of what will go over well, right? Let's look at this show right now. This is MSG Night 1. Again, compare this to Grand Rapids, Michigan. 2-step Wien, right? And keep in mind, this would have been even crazier if Jeff Coffin didn't have the C19 back then. Lie in Our Graves comes back. Boa comes back from Mohegan with the walk down. This was on Sirius XM, right? You get that Boa again. And then you get to my show, the next show not my show, the show I actually went to last year at MSG. What You Are. Look at that. What You Are is played. Let me show you. Now tell me this. What You Are was played twice in the state of New York. Of the 4 performances full band last year, 2 of them were played in New York State. SPAC Night 2, or SPAC Night 1 or Night 2, I can't remember which one, and MSG. So you're telling me Dave plays what he wants, but 50% of the What You Are's last year, full band, were played in New York State. The Last Stop only played at MSG. Christmas Song, 3 of 3. Played at the Gorge. I got it at the Gorge last year when I went, and at MSG, and I think they played it one other time. Right? Dave does look at where he's playing. He doesn't go into he's not as much of a nerd as the Almanac, where he's like, oh, I don't want to repeat this because I played it the last 2 times I was in town. But he does look at this. Now, Hines, Carter does not control the show. Carter controls the tempo of the things, but Dave writes the set list. He literally, there's pictures of Dave writing the set list. Here's the other thing, and I want to get to this Jeff Coffin thing about crying to Jeff Coffin, which I think is incredibly stupid. Because you know what it did? You know what complaining to Jeff Coffin did? Now we'll never know what songs are. Now, listen, someone may have the set list, but one of the cool things about Jeff sharing the set list and Rashawn sharing the set list, we were able to see what was cut minutes after the show. They were posting these set lists. We were able to see a handwritten set list before it was printed out from Jeff Coffin. But now, because everyone wanted to cry, now listen, you could say, hey, Jeff should have never posted those. Yeah, he should have never posted those, but we would have never gotten those set lists, period. Never have gotten them, period, which is worse. So he's trying to share and be open. And so now we're not going to have Jeff Coffin's set list right away. Well, yeah, some people may grab the set list, but some people don't post a set list to social media if they get it. Some people run away with it and they're just not on social media. So we may never know for some of these shows what songs were cut. Now, most times the Almanac, they do a great job of it. So complaining to Jeff has done what? It's lost us the set list from Rashawn and Jeff. Complaining to Jeff has done what for the set? What did you guys see tonight? Right? What did we get after complaining to Jeff? Did we get a What You Are? Did we get a Last Stop? Did we get a Dreaming Tree or a Shotgun? No. It did not impact the set list because Jeff Coffin is not going to write this set list. Here, Jeff Coffin, Rashawn Ross, Buddy Strong, unless it's their birthday or their hometown show, they have zero pull on the set list. Okay? Carter Beauford will only impact us. This is just my opinion. I don't think he'll impact the set list unless he can't physically play something like two-step. Like he was having issues playing two-step in the 2018, 2019, in some parts of 2021, right? So complaining to Jeff is not going to change that because he doesn't have the pull. You know who used to have the pull on on Dave Matthews? Steve Lillywhite in studio. Steve Lillywhite in studio. That's why these albums are gonna. I have concerns that when this album comes out, it's gonna be sabotaged because that's what's happened with Come Tomorrow, right? It was Can't Stop was sped up. Horrible. Come Tomorrow was one of the worst written songs in this modern era of Dave Matthews songwriting. Because Lillywhite would have said, throw that thing out. Throw that in the garbage. It's trash. Right? This is not true, Hines. I'm only going to answer one more time. It's not true. Dave Matthews writes. You know why there's no violin right now? Because Dave Matthews does not want it. Carter smiles and plays. Carter will say, hey, this is off tempo, whatever. But Leroy was the only person, because Roy hated 41. He hated playing the solos for that. It was a lot of work for him to play those, but he still played it. He's the person, when they had some issues they're about to break up, Roy just pretty much said, Dave, stop whining and be the dang leader of this band. Okay? That's what Roy did. Rest in peace to Leroy Moore. Leroy Moore is the only person. Rashawn can't tell Dave what to play. Dave will ask Rashawn, hey, can you orchestrate this jam? Rashawn can't. You think Jeff Coffin is going to be able to tell, hey, Dave, by the way, stop mailing in these sets. People are complaining about this. But here's the thing. You have no evidence that Carter's writing the set list. All we have, the pictures, the conversations, the interviews we have is Dave writing these set lists. He mentions he looks at previous set lists. Carter runs the tempo of this. He does not run this band. Again, if the reason we don't have a violin is because Dave Matthews does not want a violin. The reason the band even has Tim Reynolds is because Dave wanted Tim Reynolds in 08 with Leroy Moore and Rashawn to come. He wanted Tim to be there, and he wanted a rock sound. The reason we have Big Whiskey is because Dave wanted to take a rock direction. The reason we have a song like She is because Dave Matthews wrote a song about his wifey, and he wanted to have it there. Carter does not control the set list. There's no evidence of that. People I've talked to that know stuff behind it, he does not control the set list. He'll tell Dave, hey, I can't play two-step. You know, my wrist is really sore. Like he's taking a lot. Right? So anyway, that's all I'm gonna leave it at that. But attacking Jeff Coffin and complaining. Now, yes, I believe there is a case. Mike makes a point. Jeff Coffin has to understand, to an extent, if you're going to come online and post things, you're going to have thick skin. There are people online, the most beautiful models and the most popular people, the most lovable people in the world have negative posts in their comments. So when you talk, so one of the things that Jeff's got blowback on is his political opinions. If you're going to talk politics online as a public figure, people are going to disagree with you. That's why I think Dave doesn't have social media. Dave knows, he's like, listen, I don't even want to deal with this. So I will say, Jeff, like from a standpoint, when I understand his sincerity. I respect him wanting to connect with us as fans. But if you're going to talk politics, like he says like stuff about the voting, and listen, I think you should vote. I voted myself. But he says vote, but this is my political thing. And I have no issue with anybody giving their political opinion. I believe, like some people say, oh, shut up and dribble. Say, no, if you have a political opinion on any side of the aisle and you want to share it, but understand you're going to get blowback. And as a celebrity, you're going to get blowback sometimes because some of the comments you say as a celebrity, you're going to look crazy the way you're telling other people that X, Y, and Z. Like, oh, do this, vote for this issue, like it depends on it. But some people that have less money and are certain, no, I agree. I have your empathy with this issue, but to feed my family, to put gas in my car, this is who I need to vote for, whether it's this person or that person, or for me, this specific issue about this right or this protection for my children or for my lifestyle. That's more important than whatever you're saying over here. Right? And listen, Jeff, the thing is, they could be playing sets, right? And Jeff may think, hey, well, this, I really wish we could do this, or I really wish we could do that. But he is not a core member. And again, I know it's only a couple people that complain with Jeff, right? And I know one of the people who was complaining with, I talked to him, yeah. Right? But even so, Jeff can't, even Stefan can't influence. Like Stefan's on Twitter. People are saying stuff to him, and he's like, yeah, I'll talk to Dave. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But even if he does, he can't tell Dave what to write. Really, these musicians are paid to kind of play what Dave wants them to play, and also give their feedback in certain levels. But you cannot walk into a band like D&B, except Rashawn, because Rashawn's task, like Rashawn is, hey, write this part out, write this jam out in the horns for you and Jeff. But you can't walk up to Dave and say, even right now, even a decade plus in, or however long it's been, right? For some, Rashawn's been here for over 16 years. I can't remember, like 05, 06. 05, he started coming on. 06, he was permanent, maybe. Wasn't that what it was? But like, he can't walk into a room and say, yo, Dave, you got to cut this off, cut that. If he physically is sick and cannot play a song, Dave will definitely respect that. But these members of the band that have been added since really the core foundation of it, they can't walk into a room and say, Dave, cut this song out because I heard it on Facebook. Cut this song. Dave, you got to mix up your encores. Okay? And the other thing, the last thing or not the last thing, but the other thing I'll say is this: there's a lot of animosity about like a lot of the hate that's coming from these shows. People are not at the show. Now, that's not to say that there are. I talked to someone from Seattle on Ants Marching today. They didn't like the Seattle show. They walked out of there with a bad taste. They thought there should have been one or two more like deep cuts, right? I understand that if you're at the show. But if you're in New York City or if you're in Connecticut like me and you're not even in Idaho, why are you freaking out about the fact that Idaho has a stale set list? You can have an opinion, but they're in Nampa, Idaho. They're in Vancouver, Canada, and there's 50 curtains covering up the upper deck. So if they had a bad MSG show, I would be on here myself complaining. If they bombed Chicago, or if they messed up like Dayton, Ohio, if they really didn't give like a little bit of a Columbus type feel, because you're going to have fans from Columbus and parts that people travel to Columbus that go. Michael makes a good point, and this is the other thing, guys. So he says, no one in Seattle knew Dave was in town for a show in his hometown. I talked to a lot of locals. Many of you guys have more responsibilities than me. I'm 32 years old. Some of you guys are in your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, right? You have people that report to you, right? Right now, I'm an individual contributor in my job, right? No one reports to me. You guys got emails, right? Like Michael, I know you're a fire chief, right? So you guys have tons of things. So if it's not D&B based or it's not one of your favorite bands, there may be a band you kind of liked back in the 90s that comes into your city and you don't know about it, right? You guys got kids to feed, you got practices, you got recitals. But even me at 32, just about to get married, just about to start a family, right? There are shows like I didn't know Bella Fleck was coming to town until like 2 weeks before. And usually I know stuff like that. But he had a low-key show with his wife at the Bushnell, and I kind of wish I went. At the same time, I'm paying for a wedding, so your boy had to save some money, right? Yo, these weddings are worse than Ticketmaster. These prices for weddings, bro. I'm telling y'all, you think Ticketmaster's bad? try to pay for a wedding. Anyway, listen, I love shout out to my fiance. It's all worth it. And we anyway. But the point is, you can live in a city like Seattle, and there's so much going on. The same night as the Dave show, there's a Washington football game. There was a big state playoff game. People didn't know in Nampa and Boise, Idaho, Dave was coming to town, right? And we also live in an era where, like, you remember, you used to be able to listen to the radio. Everyone used to listen to the radio for the most part, and they would say, hey, Kid Rock's coming to town, right? Well, I don't know. Screw Kid Rock. He's a jerk. But like, hey, Jay-Z's coming to town, right? Right. And so you would know that so-and-so is coming to town. If you listen to the rock station, anyone that was in rock that would come to town, they would give free tickets, right? But people don't listen to now they do. Now the radio still does, as much as radio's dying a slow death. There's still some exposure, but most people don't really listen to the radio. And then the crazy thing is, there were so many unique bands that may not even get a shout out. Now, Dave Matthews Band is big, right? But even so, they may not, like, certain cities may not focus on D&B. Like a rock station may not focus on D&B in certain city. Like if they're in Salt Lake City, the rock station may not report that show. Nampa, Idaho, people may have not known, because it's like, again, it used to be TV and radio was like all we really had as mediums. Now we have a bunch of different things. We have a bunch of different stuff. So we can find everything D&B we want. But if you're a Smashing Pumpkins fan that just happened to kind of wane away from them, as far as like you don't really follow what they're doing, but you loved them back in the 90s, or if you like the Goo Goo Dolls, or if you like even a Red Hot Chili Peppers, obviously you can kind of tell when they're torn. But some fans who have a life, who are working 50, 60 hours a week, some people who are in the nursing or law enforcement or deployed overseas, they're not going to know. Like the Chili Peppers tour may not be the thing they're looking up because they're so busy in their life. And I understand it more now at 32 than I did at 22. And I don't even have kids yet. Right. So you have to understand that like some of this stuff people are missing. There's just so many events. And this year of all years, this year is crazy just in general because everyone's trying to tour to make back money they lost. Every venue is taking every open date possible to make back money they lost. Every worker that works at these venues and arenas is trying to make money because inflation is crazy, as it is across the world, right? Everyone is trying to get funds back, right? And I'm not even talking about the band. They don't need to tour necessarily. But even so, they want their crew to make money back. So it's a crazy, like there's a lot going on. And the cost of the ticket, $135. Now listen, compared to the Rolling Stones and even to like certain bands that are in the range of what tickets sold per year, their tickets are fairly reasonable. But if you're going, I said this in earlier in the year, if you only have X amount of events you can attend each year because of the cost of everything, right? The cost of everything has gone up. So, all right, I only can go to the Seahawks game and the Mariners playoff game. Those are going to be my two purchases, right? The Mariners make the playoffs, you buy the tickets. The Seahawks are playing the Giants, and you buy the tickets for that game. Or the Seahawks are playing Sunday Night Football. Hey, I want to go see them. Geno Smith is doing great things. But then after that, am I going to pay $135 for D&B plus parking, plus if you bring your kids or you bring your wife, you guys got to both eat out that day. You got to grab a drink or two, right? Craig brings up this thing here about if it was a European tour, there would be a little bit less hatred, I think, because it's like, oh, it's Europe. That's a good point. But there are people that would still hate on those sets. There is actually people worse than D&B. Like I said, Fish fans are much worse than D&B. They'll repeat a song in the same leg of a tour and they complain. Like the same leg of a tour. Like they've only played it one other time in 10 shows. Then the show 11, they play it again. Right? So, again, and this is a good, MSG is going to be pricey. Right? I'm not staying in New York City. Because, like, I just think what I hate about New York is, like, you pay all this money for a hotel, and the hotel is, like, so small. And that's just because of it's New York City. So I'm not staying in the city. I'm leaving that night. So, like, but people that are out of town, they got to get some sort of hotel. They have to be close because they're tourists, right? I know the area. I know the good spots and the bad spots, right? So I know kind of where I can run around and how I can get out of the city and get back to my house or get back to a hotel, like one of those two options. So I think if people are investing, people are paying all sorts of money to get to New York City, and they have a set list like tonight. If this is MSG night one, this type of set. Oh no, I'm looking at a different show. But if this is MSG night one and there's 17 songs and it's not like, now if they have Dreaming Tree, Stone, and like Seek Up, and it happens to go 17, like they have Dreaming Tree, Stone, Lion Our Grave, Seek Up, Crush, all in the same set. I think 17 songs, people would not complain. Some people would, but it would be more bearable. Like, okay, they just had let's just say this: Last Stop, Lie in Our Graves, Seek Up, Stone. If they had all those songs in the same main set and it was like only 15 songs, people are like, well, I get it. They had Lie in Our Graves. They had all these long songs. But I think if the set list was like tonight in MSG night 1, and especially night 2, this would be like, people would be like, yo, that's when we can say the band, even Chicago is a toss up to me. Right? Even Chicago, because it's a weekday show. It's a weekday show, and Chicago is so much bigger than DMB. Just like New York, like if you guys come to New York, you may find some Dave fans, but there are how many million people in New York? I lost count. But even in Manhattan, there's at least over like 1 million people in Manhattan alone, in the small little area island. Trust me, DMB is not going to be the only thing people are talking about. Chicago has a guest, but so did, I don't think that's going to really impact the set list. If anything, the problem with Chicago, you're probably going to get Jimmy Thing because Dumpster Funk is there. So speaking of set lists and times, you're probably going to get a 30-minute Jimmy Thing, or not a 30-minute. Okay, I'm exaggerating, but you're probably going to get a 15-minute to 20-minute Jimmy Thing because Dumpster Funk is there. And that's what I say, like, openers to me, unless you have like Bella Fleck or Warren Haynes, or like if an open, and listen, I love Dumpster Funk, but it's different. Listen, there's a whole new level of Derek Trucks and Susan Tedeschi Trucks. I know they're not openers, but when they come in guest, when you have Warren Haynes guest, I'm not saying that, listen, Tony Hall is amazing, right? But it's just different. But a guest is, if anything, a guest may hurt the set list, especially because it's midweek. If it was a weekend show and there's a guest, okay, maybe. But like, there's no guarantees that they're gonna use, because you're like Dumpster Funk isn't known to be like, oh, we're gonna play Spoon with Dumpster Funk. Listen, they played Watchtower with McCready, and listen, it was a great Watchtower. But like in was it 2010? In 2010, they played Spoon with McCready. In 2014, they played Spoon with McCready, right? Or 14 or 15, and Brandy Carlisle. So I don't buy, like, even though there's an opener, that does not, the set list could actually be worse, because we know one thing I'll say is they don't know how to use their guests, especially if they're not like in this tour, we go to Vancouver, right? Which is what, 11-2? You have a trombone player on Can't Stop, and it's sped up and loud. Are you kidding me? You have now trombone on Jimmy Thing. I get that, but again, that's not a good song. So like, that's my thing. They don't know how to use their guests. Even going to this one, like Watchtower again. Now listen, that was a great Watchtower, but imagine if you have Spoon right here. And some of this too, yeah. The other thing too is with this band kind of not practicing when they're not on tour and they're like doing other stuff, they may not have the practice time with these artists. So they put them on a Can't Stop. Hey, just do your thing. Put them on a Watchtower, just jam on A minor. Right? That's why some of this stuff is happening. They just don't have the time. They're going on all these stops nonstop, right? You go to Idaho, to Salt Lake City. But yeah. So I know I kind of went left and right and all over the place, but I'm telling you guys, don't complain to Jeff. Jeff should have a little bit more of a thicker skin. If you post something political, if you post a set list for a band that people literally fight for these set lists, people will throw them bows over those set lists, right? Like, hey, I want that set list. I want that set list too. No, give it to me. Now give it to me, right? People will literally, for a Carter drumstick, back when they used to do them, people would literally be pulling them things away from the other person's hand. Okay. So with this fan base, you just got to be careful as far as not careful. You just have to have thick skin. if you're going to post social media stuff, you're going to get a lot of love, but you're going to get a lot of criticism. But at the same time, there was no positive thing about criticizing Jeff. Yes, we did have a couple years ago. What was it? Des Moines, Iowa. But that was a summer tour. Right? So you had, listen, let's look at this. You had this show in Nashville, and DMB does not know how to play Nashville. I'm sorry. They don't. I'll tell you that. They had this show. Everyone comes to Nashville. And I know, like, again, it's more of a casual, but they come to Nashville and they just play the music. They bring their best stuff. This show was absolute toilet water trash. Okay? They messed up. They did not play the right set list, okay, for this tour. Now, let's look at the next show. So they have a couple of days off. There was, like, I think this was Jeff and other people were reacting to negative stuff, right? So then they play the 514. Now, yes, it starts off with Louisiana Bayou, so they're trying to troll us. You get this show. Fish Tenders, So Right. Right. What you have? Crush the Stone recently comes in. Look at all these tour debuts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tour debuts. And what this tour? Now this tour started in Pensacola, right? I think it started in Pensacola. So that's a lot of tour debuts. A lot of tour debuts for like this being like what 3 or 4 songs shows in or whatever, right? So this was really a statement, but this was in the summertime, and this was like they had a couple of days off. It was a different type of thing, and this is really like a one-off time where they responded to criticism. People complain all the time, and you're still going to get the same set. So people complain today, and listen, I'm not saying this like we talked about how great the set was. People complain today, and the band played 17 songs. You had a boa and a riff, but you didn't have any more deep cuts. So the people who wanted more deep cuts, y'all complained and y'all didn't get it. I'm sorry, y'all did not get. If you were complaining about Setlist, you did not get those deep cuts.
What are you doing?
You did get boa, but that's it. Hey, what's up, Henry? Oh, so also, so Henry, we were talking about the Setlist complaining, and just about the idea of what the band's gonna do. And I don't know how long you've been on, but just like you think the band's really gonna play a bunch of deep cuts in Nampa, Idaho. Greg brought this up. He put this in the chat. Groton27 said, this Bristol show may have been the last. Really, this is a sub 16 set, main set. I don't believe, was there anything? I don't believe there was any weather issues for this show. I could be wrong. But this is a 14 song main set. Although, hey, that dive in. Listen, you get a dive in the encore 1 spot. So this may have been the 6/18/2016. This may have been the last show that really had a small set list count that without weather interruptions, without it being a festival. This may be the one, Greg. You may be on to a point. So shout out to you for finding that. But again, I don't. Everyone has a right to an opinion, but I think people need to. You got to really just think logically and say, all right, what are they going to do? Right? It's not. You're not getting, and like I said, y'all not even at these shows. You're complaining. And listen, I complain about a lot of stuff when I'm not at a show, right? I do that, right? I'm guilty, right? But it's like, it's more about specific songs. I'm just rooting for songs to be out of here. But it's like, this is like, they know how much they're selling ticket wise. They know they're coming in and there's curtains up when they're running sound check and they have curtains in the upper deck. So Mike did complain, right? So Mike was at some of these shows. He did want some of these more Stone, You Never Know, Graves, Billy's, typical, right? So right, so you did, yeah, you do complain, but I respect that more when you're at a show and you're like, hey, I want X, Y, and Z. When you're not at a show, bro, in some ways it's good. Like, I'm rooting for you guys to get these deep cuts. So what he said, same reason why the Gorge most play venue gets the fire sets. Although I'll make an argument that the Gorge has missed a lot of special deep cuts on some of the shows. Like for instance, no Shotgun this year at the Gorge. Now they can't play everything, but there was no Shotgun at the Gorge this year. Certain songs like Drive In, Drive Out have missed the Gorge. Like when I went in 2019, Drive In, Drive Out was not played at the Gorge in 2021, even though it was played in some of those years. But yeah, the Gorge gets the fire set, yeah, because it's just, they're the most played venues. And they know the fan base going there is going to have the ability to enjoy these songs. Like if all the fans that travel to SPAC travel to Vancouver, British Columbia, it's a whole different story. But only some fans travel to Canada for those shows. But if there's a show and I'm not there and they're not really playing, I'm like, I mean, hey, listen, save it for New York City. Save it for New York City. And here's the thing, if you want to get rare songs, go to a lot of shows and also be strategic about what shows you go to. Sometimes they'll have these random, like Shotgun was played. Now, Shotgun was played in Austin, Texas, but that was the first show of the tour. So you go to a tour opener, right? So these are some tips. Go to tour openers. Go to Madison Square Garden anytime they play it. Go to SPAC, Deer Creek, Alpine if they have Alpine. Don't go to Chicago because Chicago sucks. Northley Island is a disaster. Right? Go to West Palm Beach. Although Tampa's going to have Innings Fest, but go to Tampa when they have anytime they play Tampa. Because they play real good for Tampa. Just going to the Gorge, you're going to get a lot of songs checked off. That's why I did not spend any of my money to travel coast to coast this year. Because I knew, like, listen, for this specific year, now there's times and seasons where, hey, I need a road trip. I need to get away. So I'm going to do what Michael did. I'm going to go to like X amount of shows, especially when I'm his age and I'm more established and everything. And all right, yeah, I'm going to take this road trip. But like, you can't expect all this stuff in these weird, odd locations. And like I said, I was wrong. I was like, hey, maybe I knew like Vancouver. I knew Vancouver was going to be trash, like ticket wise. It wasn't going to sell well. Now I know some of you guys said, I saw some of the comments that there was a good energy in the lower bowl, but Vancouver is just not going to sell. Last time in 2015, I think they sold 9,000 seats, and that's a venue that holds for hockey. It holds like what 18,000 for hockey. Was it? Canucks Arena, Rogers Arena. Rogers Arena holds just around 18,000 for hockey, 19,000 for concerts. So they sold 9,000 in 2015. That's 10,000 seats that weren't sold in 2015. So what do you think was going to happen when prices go up Canadian dollars weak and all that stuff now. So I tell you, you go to the big shows, save up the money and go to the big show. If you can't, again, I understand if you can't, and I empathize with that. But a lot of the people complaining, they have the resources and they're going to the big shows. So that's where we're at. We'll talk more about the sets as this tour progresses, but I'm not worried. Like I'm not gonna worry until if MSG night 1 is absolutely just a abomination of a show, I'll be worried then. And even so, I'm still going night 2. And what I said, the crowd picks from these fall shows are a big shocking. Not really, because again, even the fall tour has trouble selling. They have trouble selling East Coast venues. One of the hardest things to sell for D&B is lawn tickets, like to sell out a lawn completely. They can get lawn tickets sold, but to sell out a lawn and then to really fill up the upper deck of a venue. Because in the summertime, you'll have fans who love just the weather and the feeling of it. Oh, Henry, you're going to have the whole fam at MSG. That'll be awesome. Yeah, hopefully we can catch up. Well, here's the thing, Mike. Here's my thing with this. I believe I understand why certain fan bases are worried about Ticketmaster Platinum. Taylor Swift, to be specific, right? Your Beyonce is going to go on tour. You guys, don't buy tickets on the on sale. Okay? If you don't get it for face value and it's don't buy it. The platinum tickets is such a non-factor for this tour and for most D&B events. It's a non-factor. You can wait till closer to the event and you will have all sorts. It's a buyer's market. The platinum tickets is irrelevant for this. Because you literally can walk up to these venues, $25 to be in the lower level last night. And now that's not Ticketmaster venue, it's someone else. But for Vancouver, even for Seattle, there were seats. Seattle, a brand new arena on a Friday night. There were seats in the lower level below face after fees on StubHub. Tickets that were platinum were turned to regular. My thing with platinum tickets is, right, you got tickets, you got pit both nights. It's a non-factor, guys. Just wait it out. Now I understand if you have to travel cross country and sometimes you have to get a ticket, but even so, just wait. Like I've shown up to the Gorge with no tickets before. And it all I've only been 2 years, right? So anyway. But like I literally just bought tickets on the app in the parking lot or bought them from someone in the lot. Like it is so easy to get tickets to some of these events. Think about it. The Gorge is the most anticipated weekend of the year. And as long as you can afford the camping or afford the hotel, you show up to the Gorge. The worst case, you get a lawn ticket on StubHub below face value. It's always below face value on StubHub. And really, if you go into the lot, you can meet somebody with the warehouse lawn ticket and know that that's the official lawn ticket, and you can pay much less. People have so many tickets to burn in the campgrounds. You don't have to think about cash or trade. Just go to the campground. But if you want to have more trusted security, go to cash or trade. Like it is so Ticketmaster, the platinum tickets are such a Now I get SPAC. I understand SPAC, MSG. It can be frustrating, but even MSG, there's tickets right now. You just have to keep monitoring. People are selling night 1 and night 2s. It may not be the best ticket in the house, But people are. I saw lower 100 sell for the for MSG, not the Gordon, MSG Night 2. They're here, folks. And also, if you have a good Night 1 pair, trade it for a Night 2 pair and get, you can find Night 1 pairs before the event. There are people looking to make deals. There are tickets available even for MSG. I kind of freaked out at first too, and I'm wrong. I was wrong about it. I freaked out about MSG. So again, I just say, everyone relax, RELAX, like Aaron Rodgers says. We'll get through this tour. We'll see what they do in New York City. I haven't seen anything about Dave's thumb. Oh, he talked about it. Maybe it could be that. I know that Dave does whatever it takes to get on stage. I'll tell you that. I'm telling you, he's a trooper. And there's been times where, listen, should he have gotten on stage? Probably not. And he still got on. Like, Dave is all the full band, like, they really have an ability to make every show possible. Henry says is 100% accurate. Yeah. And that's the beauty of it, because they tour every year. And even like Blink-182 right now, I know some people may not be even somebody may like they have a tour that they just sold. They had an on sale for it, and it was like a disaster. I know closer to the event, it's Blink-182. They're popular, but they literally are going to play the same set every night, meaning people aren't going to go to multiple shows. Sometimes they rotate a couple songs in and out, from what I remember. The tickets will go down in value. Right now, they're pulling off the nostalgia. Tom DeLonge is coming back to Blink-182, and I've seen them twice. They're great. But once you and if I don't see them next year, I don't care. Like, it'll be cool to be in a room with them and really, Travis got his new wifey, Kourtney Kardashian. He's all happy, lovey-dovey. He's in a good mood. Kourtney's like the only Kardashian that really you can't be cursed by. She's the only real one. Salute to Kourtney. But like, if I don't go see Blink, oh well. Okay. I've seen what they do. It'll be cool if I get a deal. If not, whatever. That's the kind of mindset I think we need to have with tickets. It's like, listen, you have to rationalize this stuff. And I know sometimes it can be hard because this music is our escape. All right, I've seen this band before. They're charging 10 times the price that I saw them back in 08 or 09 with the platinum. Let's wait closer to the event. Let's see where the market is. Let's see maybe I have to drive 3 hours to this show, but the tickets are much cheaper. Like, that's with Dead & Company, same thing. Oh no, Dead & Company. Listen, there are going to be tickets at the door they can't give away. They're doing 3 shows. This is not the Grateful Dead Fare Thee Well, which, by the way, Grateful Dead Fare Thee Well had tons of tickets left. I worked at StubHub at the time. There were tons of tickets at face or well below face for the Chicago and the San Francisco ones, right? Chicago being the final ones, but the San Francisco, same thing. They're doing 3 shows at a ballpark in San Francisco. There will be plenty of tickets, folks. If you are a Dead & Company fan, which I am, I have not bought a single ticket for Dead & Company next year. There will be tickets. They added shows, right? And even like a Taylor Swift, it's still hard, but the market will chill out. I've seen it when I worked at StubHub, where like tickets drop significantly closer to the event. People who are buying right now, and this is the time of year where you see these stadium tours for Taylor Swift be sold. The arena tour for Blink-182, they're selling the tickets now because it's the holidays. They want to cash in on that. You're buying your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your child, your wife, or your husband, your side chick, your main chick, your side chick, the chick that you only you Uber over at night. I'm joking. Anyway, like, they're trying to sell tickets. And what happened is people bought these tickets for Christmas for Taylor Swift. And then we'd get to March and April. And let's say that ticket that they bought in Christmas time was double sold, or that seller never delivered it on time. And I'm helping this buyer get new tickets in the same section. I'm saying, hey, I can upgrade you 10 rows and save you, and you'll be refunded $15 total for the 4 tickets you're being upgraded 10 rows for. Like, that's what happens with even Taylor Swift in her prime. She still is, like, really, Taylor Swift's on fire. Like, she sold 1.5 million records. But anyway, I've seen it even with Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran, where people were panic buying tickets for Christmas. Oh, I got to get little Timmy the Ed Sheeran. I got to get Susie the Ed Sheeran tickets. And then, like, right before the event, tickets have dropped significantly on StubHub, on all the different things. You paid, and the funniest, well, it's not funny, but I see this all the time. I see people trying to get rid of platinum tickets. And listen, I get it. Sometimes you buy the ticket, whatever. But there's people pulling up to these DMB, and, like, I think someone was, shout out to Aria. Her friend was trying to get rid of Lizzo tickets. I think they sold them. But it'd be like, I have lower 100 this, $400 a ticket. Are you kidding me? Those are not going to sell. So when you buy platinum tickets, by all means, if you have, like, listen, I don't buy platinum tickets, but if that's what you do and you got the money, buy it. But just understand, if you have to flip those tickets because of an emergency or you can't make it, like, it's going to be hard. And you see this on Cash or Trade. People get laughed out the room. They'll post a receipt of their platinum tickets, and it's like, they'll be like, I'm just looking to get back what I made. And like, people are like, bro, you paid $300 per ticket for these, like, for these tickets. And, like, now tickets in that same row for warehouse tickets are $135. People are selling them for $100 a piece because they can't get rid of these warehouse tickets. So am I going to pay for your $300 tickets a piece or the $100 a piece through someone selling their warehouse tickets for less? Let me think. Oh, this is funny. Uh-oh. Henry, why are you up at 3 a.m. last night? Listening to my friend talk about side chicks. I need to go to bed. But that's my show. I'm going to title and chapter this when I wake up tomorrow morning. So everyone watching the replay, yo, he was on for 2 hours about Salt Lake City. What are you? But thank you guys for the support. Hit the like button to like. Share this with your friends. One thing I found is, and listen, this happens with me on YouTube. You hear, oh, this is such a great thing. You may, I'll check it out. Yeah, whatever. And then when you actually check it out, you're like, where has this been my whole life? Tell your friends, hey, check out these interviews. Just check out these interviews that Conserviz is doing. And then the beauty of it is, the more people that follow me and watch this stuff, the more interviews and insight we can get, right? For every tour stop. Because sometimes there's some blind spots where I don't have anyone on. So if we get more people watching this, I can get people for some of these harder to get interview spots, especially for the summer tour. Right now, everyone in this fall tour, less partying and less fanfare. You just go home or you go to the hotel. But for the summer tour, what I struggle with is it is hard to get people that are sober. And listen, I get it. You guys are having fun. This is your 1 weekend away from the kids all year, but it is hard to find people who are sober.
Bruh.
And I understand. Listen, you guys are having fun at the show. You guys got to go to bed. You guys have a group of people at an Airbnb. I get it, a hotel room. But the more people that follow, I can get someone who's willing to get on and have a nice environment to share about the show. So there you have it. What was I going to do for... Let me get to the outro. Next show, just to put this up here. Next stream is going to be at 11 p.m. Central Time this Saturday, November 12th. The reason I'm pushing that up is because I will be going to Goose and Fish. They had an amazing first night of that tour. I am excited. I am ecstatic about just the awesome collaborations that they're going to have. So I'll have some content on that as well. Stay tuned. What am I gonna choose? Oh, I had it right here. All right, so we're gonna pick this one. All right, so we're gonna end on this one. Since everyone's feeling heartbroken about these set lists, we'll put on Some Devil to close out. In honor of all the people crying that Nampa, Idaho did not have Dreaming Tree and Monkey Man. This is for you guys. That Salt Lake City, Utah didn't have Machead. And right into a segue into Dreams of Our Fathers, which segues into Crazy Easy to close out the set. I'm sorry that they did not play that at Salt Lake City, guys. So sorry for you guys who aren't even there at home. This is for you guys. This is the Some Devil. But thank you guys. Seriously. Appreciate it. Take care. Peace.
Walked out here, I said, damn, SPAC is smoking everything. Thank you very much, as always, for being so generous to us. Stop